Salesforce Platform Developer I Practice Questions and Answers 2026. Flashcard 1. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: why would a developer use test.start and test.stop-test? A. To avoid Apex code coverage requirements for the code between these lines. B. To start and stop anonymous block execution when executing anonymous Apex code. C. To indicate test code so that it does not impact Apex line count governor limits. D. To create an additional set of governor limits during the execution of a single test class. Flashcard 2. V. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what must the controller for a Visualforce page utilize to override the standard opportunity view button? A. The standard set controller to support related lists for pagination. B. The opportunity standard controller for pre-built functionality. C. A callback constructor to reference the standard controller. D. A constructor that initializes a private opportunity variable. Flashcard 3. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer uses a before insert trigger on the lead object to fetch the territory blank C object, where the territory blank C dot postal code blank C matches the lead dot postal code. The code fails when the developer uses the Apex data loader to insert 10,000 lead records. The developer has the following code block: line 01 for lead L, trigger.new line 02. If L.postal code not equals null line 03, list ter list equals select ID from territory blank C where postal code blank C equals L.postal code line 04. If ter list.size 0 line 05. L.territory blank C equals ter list 0.id line 06. Line 07. Which line of code is causing the code block to fail? A. Line 03. A SOQL query is located inside of the for loop code. B. Line 01. Trigger :new is not valid in a before insert trigger. C. Line 02. A null pointer exception is thrown if postal code is null. D. Line 05. The lead in a before insert trigger cannot be updated. Flashcard 4. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what would a developer do to update a picklist field on related opportunity records when a modification to the associated account record is detected? A. Create a process with Process Builder. B. Create a workflow rule with a field update. C. Create a Lightning component. D. Create a Visualforce page. Flashcard 5. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which requirement needs to be implemented by using standard workflow instead of Process Builder? Choose two answers. A. Create activities at multiple intervals. B. Send an outbound message without Apex code. C. Copy an account address to its contacts. D. Submit a contract for approval. Flashcard 6. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: an org has different Apex classes that provide account-related functionality. After a new validation rule is added to the object, many of the test methods fail. What can be done to resolve the failures and reduce the number of code changes needed for future validation rules? Choose 2 answers. A. Create a method that creates valid account records and call this method from within test methods. B. Create a method that loads valid account records from a static resource and call this method within test methods. C. Create a method that performs a callout for a valid account record and call this method from within test methods. D. Create a method that queries for valid account records and call this method from within test methods. Flashcard 7. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which component is available to deploy using Metadata API? Choose 2 answers. A. Case layout. B. Account layout. C. Case feed layout. D. Console layout. Flashcard 8. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: in the code below, what type does Boolean inherit from? Boolean B equals true. A. Enum B. Object C. String D. Class. Flashcard 9. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the preferred way to reference web content such as images, style sheets, JavaScript, and other libraries that is used in Visualforce pages? A. By accessing the content from chatter files. B. By uploading the content in the Documents tab. C. By accessing the content from a third-party con. D. By uploading the content as a static resource. Flashcard 10. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a company has a custom object named warehouse. Each warehouse record has a distinct record owner and is related to a parent account in Salesforce. Which kind of relationship would a developer use to relate the account to the warehouse? A. One-to-many. B. Lookup. C. Master detail. D. Parent-child. Flashcard 11. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer creates a workflow rule declaratively that updates a field on an object. An Apex update trigger exists for that object. What happens when a user updates a record? A. No changes are made to the data. B. Both the Apex trigger and workflow rule are fired only once. C. The workflow rule is fired more than once. D. The Apex trigger is fired more than once. Flashcard 12. A. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is true for a partial sandbox that is not true for a full sandbox? Choose 2 answers. A. More frequent refreshes. B. Only includes necessary metadata. C. Use of change sets. D. Limited to 5 GB of data. Flashcard 13. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: in which order does Salesforce execute events upon saving a record? A. Before triggers, validation rules. After triggers, assignment rules. Workflow rules. Commit. B. Validation rules. Before triggers, after triggers. Workflow rules. Assignment rules. Commit. C. Before triggers, validation rules, filter triggers, workflow rules, assignment rules, commit D. Validation rules, before triggers, after triggers, assignment rules, workflow rules, commit. Flashcard 14. A, B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when loading data into an organization, what can a developer do to match records to update existing records? Choose two answers. A. Match an external ID text field to a column in the imported file. B. Match the ID field to a column in the imported file. C. Match the name field to a column in the imported file. D. Match an auto-generated number field to a column in the imported file. Flashcard 15. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: in an organization that has enabled multiple currencies, a developer needs to aggregate the sum of the estimated value blank C currency field from the campaign member object using a roll-up summary field called total estimated value blank C on campaign. How is the currency of the total estimated value blank C roll-up summary field determined? A. The values in campaign member.estimated value blank C are converted into the currency of the campaign record, and the sum is displayed using the currency on the campaign record. B. The values in campaign member.estimated value blank C are converted into the currency on the majority of the campaign member records, and the sum is displayed using the currency. C. The values in campaign member.estimated value blank C are summed up, and the resulting total estimated value blank C field is displayed as a numeric field on the campaign record. D. The values in campaign member.estimated value blank C are converted into the currency of the current user, and the sum is displayed using the currency on the campaign record. Flashcard 16. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a candidate may apply to multiple jobs at the company Universal Containers by submitting a single application per job posting. That application cannot be modified to be resubmitted to a different job posting. What can the administrator do to associate an application with each job posting in the schema for the organization? A. Create a lookup relationship on both objects to a junction object called job posting applications. B. Create a master detail relationship in the job posting's custom object to the application's custom object. C. Create a master detail relationship in the application custom object to the job posting's custom object. D. Create a lookup relationship in the application's custom object to the job posting's custom object. Flashcard 17. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a characteristic of the Lightning Component Framework? Choose two answers. A. It has an event-driven architecture. B. It works with existing Visual Force pages. C. It includes responsive components. D. It uses XML as its data format. Flashcard 18. A, B, E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a capability of cross-object formula fields? Choose three answers. A. Formula fields can reference fields from master detail or lookup parent relationships. B. Formula fields can expose data the user does not have access to in a record. C. Formula fields can be used in 3 roll-up summaries per object. D. Formula fields can reference fields in a collective records from a child relationship. E. Formula fields can reference fields from objects that are up to 10 relationships away. Flashcard 19. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer has a block of code that omits any statements that indicate whether the code block should execute with or without sharing. What will automatically obey the organization-wide defaults and sharing settings for the user who executes the code in the Salesforce organization? A. Apex triggers. B. HTTP callouts. C. Apex controllers. D. Anonymous blocks. Flashcard 20. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer created an Apex trigger using the developer console and now wants to debug code. How can the developer accomplish this in the developer console? A. Select the Override Log Triggers checkbox for the trigger. B. Add the username in the log inspector. C. Open the Progress tab in the developer console. D. Open the Logs tab in the developer console. Flashcard 21. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which data structure is returned to a developer when performing a SOSL search? A. A list of lists of S objects. B. A map of S object types to a list of S objects. C. A map of S object types to a list of lists of S objects. D. A list of S objects. Flashcard 22. CD. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: how can a developer avoid exceeding governor limits when using an Apex trigger? Choose two answers. A. By using a helper class that can be invoked from multiple triggers. B. By using the database class to handle DML transactions. C. By using maps to hold data from query results. D. By performing DML transactions on lists of S objects. Flashcard 23. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a correct pattern to follow when programming in Apex on a multi-tenant platform? A. Apex code is created in a separate environment from schema to reduce deployment errors. B. DML is performed on one record at a time to avoid possible data concurrency issues. C. Queries select the fewest fields and records possible to avoid exceeding governor limits. D. Apex classes use the with sharing keyword to prevent access from other server tenants. Flashcard 24. BC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what should a developer working in a sandbox use to exercise a new test class before the developer deploys that test production? Choose two answers. A. The REST API and Apex Test Run method. B. The Apex Test execution page in Salesforce setup. C. The test menu in the developer console. D. The Run Tests page in Salesforce setup. Flashcard 25. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a company that uses a custom object to track candidates would like to send candidate information automatically to a third-party human resource system when a candidate is hired. What can a developer do to accomplish this task? A. Create an escalation rule to the hiring manager. B. Create an auto-response rule to the candidate. C. Create a process builder with an outbound message action. D. Create a workflow rule with an outbound message action. Flashcard 26. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer is creating an application to track engines and their parts. An individual part can be used in different types of engines. What data model should be used to track the data and to prevent orphan records? A. Create a junction object to relate many engines to many parts through a master detail relationship. B. Create a master detail relationship to represent the one-to-many model of engines to parts. C. Create a lookup relationship to represent how each part relates to the parent engine object. D. Create a junction object to relate many engines to many parts through a lookup relationship. Flashcard 27. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the accurate statement about with sharing keyword? Choose two answers. A. Inner class do not inherit the sharing setting from the container class. B. Both inner and outer class can be declared as with sharing. C. Either inner class or outer classes can be declared as with sharing, but not both. D. Inner class inherit the sharing setting from the container class. Flashcard 28. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: how can a developer refer to or instantiate a page reference in Apex? Choose two answers. A. By using a page reference with a partial or full URL. B. By using the page object and a Visualforce page name. C. By using the Apex pages.page method with a Visualforce page name. D. By using the page reference.page method with a partial or full URL. Flashcard 29. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which standard field needs to be populated when a developer inserts new contact records programmatically? A. Account will B. Name C. Last name D. First name. Flashcard 30. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer creates a new Visualforce page and Apex extension and writes test classes that exercise 95% coverage of the new Apex extension. Change set deployment to production fails with the test coverage warning. Average test coverage across all Apex classes and triggers is 74%. At least 75% test coverage is required. What can the developer do to successfully deploy the new Visualforce page and extension? A. Create test classes to exercise the Visualforce page markup. B. Select Disable Parallel Apex Testing to run all the tests. C. Add test methods to existing test classes from previous deployments. D. Select Fast Deployment to bypass running all the tests. Flashcard 31. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the minimum log level needed to see user-generated debug statements? A. Debug. B. Find. C. Info. D. Warn. Flashcard 32. A. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: Developer needs to automatically populate the reports to field in a contact record based on the values of the related account and department fields in the contact record. Which type of trigger would the developer create? Choose two answers: A before update, B after insert, C before insert, D after update. Flashcard 33. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: to which primitive data type in Apex is a currency field atomically assigned? A. Integer, B. Decimal, C. Double, D. Currency. Flashcard 34. C. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which resource can be included in a Lightning component bundle? Choose two answers: A. Apex class, B. Adobe Flash, C. JavaScript, D. Documentation. Flashcard 35. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a custom exception record not found exception is defined by the following code of block: public class record not found exception extends exception. Which statement can a developer use to throw a custom exception? Choose two answers: A throw new record not found exception problem occurred, B. Throw new record not found exception, C. Throw record not found exception problem occurred, D. Throw record not found exception. Flashcard 36. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when creating unit tests in Apex, which statement is accurate? A. Unit tests with multiple methods result in all methods failing every time one method fails. B. Increased test coverage requires large test classes with many lines of code in one method. C. Triggers do not require any unit tests in order to deploy them from sandbox to production. D. System assert statements that do not increase code coverage contribute important feedback in unit tests. Flashcard 37. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is public class custom controller public string C string get set public string get string method 1 return C string public string get string method 2 if C string equals null C string equals method 2 return C string exclamation C string exclamation string method 1 exclamation string method 2 exclamation C string. What does the user see when accessing the custom page? A get my string, B. Method 2. C dot method 2. Get my string, D. Get my string method 2. Get my string. Flashcard 38. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a valid Apex statement? A. Map con map equals select name from contact. B. Account act list equals new list new accounts. C. Integer w x y equals 123. Z equals ABC. D. Private static constant double rate equals 775. Flashcard 39. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer has a single custom controller class that works with a Visualforce wizard to support creating and editing multiple S objects. The wizard accepts data from user inputs across multiple Visualforce pages and from a parameter on the initial URL. Which statement is unnecessary inside the unit test for the custom controller? A public extended controller Apex Pages standard controller CNTRL B. Apex Pages current page get parameters put input test value C. Test set current page ref D. String next page equals controller save get URL. Flashcard 40. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer wants to display all of the available record types for a case object. The developer also wants to display the picklist values for the case.status field. The case object and the case status field are on a custom Visualforce page. Which action can the developer perform to get the record types and picklist values in the controller? Choose two answers. A. Use schema.picklist entry returned by case status get describe.get picklist values. B. Use schema.recordTypeInfo returned by case.s object type get describe.get record type info. C. Use SOQL to query case records in the org to get all the record type values available for case. D. Use SOQL to query case records in the org to get all value for the status picklist field. Flashcard 41. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: an S object named application C has a lookup relationship to another S object named position C. Both application C and position C have a picklist field named status C. When the status C field on position C is updated, the status C field on application C needs to be populated automatically with the same value and execute a workflow rule on application C. How can a developer accomplish this? A. By changing application C.status C into a roll-up summary field. B. By changing application C.status C into a formula field. C. By using an Apex trigger with a DML operation. D. By configuring a cross-object field update with a workflow. Flashcard 42. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer wrote a workflow email alert on case creation so that an email is sent to the case owner manager when a case is created. When will the email be sent? A. Before trigger execution. B. After committing to database. C. Before committing to database. D. After trigger execution. Flashcard 43. B. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which code represents the controller in MVC architecture on the Force.com platform? Choose two answers. A. JavaScript that is used to make a menu item display itself. B. Standard controller system methods that are referenced by Visualforce. C. Custom Apex and JavaScript code that is used to manipulate data. D. A static resource that contains CSS and images. Flashcard 44. B. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer needs to provide a Visualforce page that lets users enter product-specific details during a sales cycle. How can this be accomplished? Choose two answers. Provide product data entry. A. Download a managed package from the App Exchange that provides a custom Visualforce page to modify. B. Create a new Visualforce page and an Apex controller to provide product data entry. C. Copy the standard page and then make a Visualforce page for product data entry. D. Download an unmanaged package from the App Exchange that provides a custom Visualforce page to modify. Flashcard 45. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer writes a before insert trigger. How can a developer access the incoming records in the trigger body? A. By accessing the trigger.new context variable. B. By accessing the trigger.new records context variable. C. By accessing the trigger.new map context variable. D. By accessing the tripper.new list context variable. Flashcard 46. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer in a Salesforce org with 100 accounts executes the following code using the developer console. Account my account equals new account name equals my account. Insert my account for integer x equals 0. X 250. X plus plus account new account equals new account name equals my account plus x. Try insert new account. Catch exception x system.debug x. Insert new account name equals my account. How many accounts are in the org after this code is run? A. 101B, 100C, 102D, 252. Flashcard 47. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: the review C object have a lookup relationship to the job application C object. The job application C object has a master detail relationship up to the position C object. The relationship is based on the auto-populated defaults. What is the recommended way to display field data from the related review C records of Visualforce page for a single position C record? Select one of the following. A. Utilize the standard controller for position C and cross-object formula fields on the job application C object to display review C data. B. Utilize the standard controller for position C and a controller extension to query for review C data. C. Utilize the standard controller for position C and expression syntax in the page to display related review C through the job application C inject. D. Utilize the standard controller for position C and cross-object formula fields on the review C object to display review C data. Flashcard 48. B. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a capability of the Force.com ID? Choose two answers. A. Rollback deployments. B. Run Apex tests. C. Download debug logs. D. Edit metadata components. Flashcard 49. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which code segment can be used to control when the dowork method is called? A for trigger dot is running T. Trigger dot new dowork. B if trigger dot is running dowork. C for trigger dot is insert T. Trigger dot new dowork. D if trigger dot is insert dowork. Flashcard 50. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when would a developer use a custom controller instead of a controller extension? Choose two answers. A. When a Visualforce page needs to replace the functionality of a standard controller. B. When a Visualforce page does not reference a single primary object. C. When a Visualforce page should not enforce permissions or field-level security. D. When a Visualforce page needs to add new actions to a standard controller. Flashcard 51. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a valid statement about Apex classes and interfaces? Choose two answers. A. The default modifier for a class is private. B. Exception classes must end with the word exception. C. A class can have multiple levels of inner classes. D. The default modifier for an interface is private. Flashcard 52. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer has the following trigger that fires after insert and creates a child case whenever a new case is created. List child cases equals new list for case parent. Trigger.new case child equals new case parent ID equals parent.id. Subject equals parent.subject. Child cases.add child. Insert child cases. What happens after the code block executes? A. Multiple child cases are created for each parent case in trigger.new. B. Child case is created for each parent case in trigger.new. C. The trigger enters an infinite loop and eventually fails. D. The trigger fails if the subject field on the parent is blank. Flashcard 53. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer wants to create a custom object to track customer invoices. How should invoices and accounts be related to ensure that all invoices are visible to everyone with access to account? A. The account should have a lookup relationship to the invoice. B. The invoice should have a master detail relationship to the account. C. The account should have a master detail relationship to the invoice. D. The invoice should have a lookup relationship to the account. Flashcard 54. A. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a valid source and destination pair that can send or receive change sets? Choose two answers. A. Sandbox to production. B. Developer edition to sandbox. C. Developer edition to production. D. Sandbox to sandbox. Flashcard 55. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer needs to create records for the object property blank C. The developer creates the following code block: 0.1 list properties to create equals helper class dot create properties. 0.2 try 0.3 0.4 catch exception exp 0.5 / exception handling 0.6. Which line of code would the developer insert at line 3 to ensure that at least some records are created, even if a record have errors and fails to be created? A. Database.insert properties to create system.allow partial. B. Insert properties to create C. Database.insert properties to create false. D. Database.insert properties to create. Flashcard 56. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when the number of record in a record set is unknown, which control statement should a developer use to implement a set of code that executes for every record in the record set without performing a .size or .length method call? A. For init stmt, exit condition, increment stmt. B. Do while condition. C. For variable, list or set D, while condition. Flashcard 57. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the result when a Visualforce page calls an Apex controller, which calls another Apex class, which then results in hitting a governor limit? A. Any changes up to the error are saved. B. Any changes up to the error are rolled back. C. All changes before a save point are saved. D. All changes are saved in the first Apex class. Flashcard 58. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer has the following code block: public class payment tax public static decimal sales tax equals 0.0875. Trigger opportunity line item trigger on opportunity line item before insert. Before update payment tax pay tax equals new payment tax. Decimal product tax equals product cost asterisk xxxxxxxxxxxx. To calculate the product tax, which code segment would a developer insert at the xxxxxxxxxxxxx to make the value the class variable sales tax accessible within the trigger? A. Sales tax. B. Pay tax.sales tax. C. Payment tax.sales tax. D. Opportunity line item tng.sales tax. Flashcard 59. Hey. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: on a Visualforce page with a custom controller, how should a developer retrieve a record by using an ID that is passed on the URL? A. Use the constructor method for the controller. B. Use the $action.view method in the Visualforce page. C. Create a new page reference object with the ID. D. Use the tag in the Visualforce page. Flashcard 60. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer wrote a workflow email alert on case creation so that an email is sent to the case owner manager when a case is created. When will the email be sent? A. After committing to database. B. Before committing to database. Calculator C. Before trigger execution. D. After trigger execution. Flashcard 61. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer creates an Apex helper class to handle complex trigger logic. How can the helper class warn users when the trigger exceeds DML governor limits? A. By using Apex message.message to display an error message after the number of DML statements is €. B. By using messaging.send email to continue the transaction and send an alert to the user after the number ML statements is exceed. C. By using page reference.set redirect to redirect the user to a custom Visualforce page before the number DML statements is exceeded. D. By using limits.getDML rows and then displaying an error message before the number of DML statements exceeded. Flashcard 62. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which user can edit a record after it has been locked for approval? Choose two answers in Administrator. B. Any user who approved the record previously. C. A user who is assigned as the current approver. D. Any user with a higher role in the hierarchy. Flashcard 63. C, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which type of information is provided by the Checkpoints tab in the Developer Console? Choose two answers: A. Exception B. Debug statement C. Namespace D. Time. Flashcard 64. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the proper process for an Apex unit test? A. Query for test data using see all data equals true. Call the method being tested. Verify that the results are correct. B. Create data for testing. Execute run all tests. Verify that the results are correct. C. Create data for testing. Call the method being tested. Verify that the results are correct. D. Query for test data using see all data equals true. Execute run all tests. Verify that the results are correct. Flashcard 65. C, D, E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which declarative method helps ensure quality data? Choose three answers: A. Exception handling B. Workflow alerts C. Validation rules D. Lookup filters E. Page layouts. Flashcard 66. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is an accurate constructor for a custom controller named myController? A public myController account equals new account. B. Public myController S object account equals account obj. C. Public myController list objects accounts equals list objects. D. Public myController Apex pages dot standard controller std controller account equals account std controller dot get record. Flashcard 67. C, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a company wants a recruiting app that models candidates and interviews, displays the total number of interviews each candidate record, and defines security on interview records that is independent from the security on candidate records. What would a developer do to accomplish this task? Choose two answers: A. Create a roll-up summary field on the candidate object that counts interview records. B. Create a master detail relationship between the candidate and interview objects. C. Create a lookup relationship between the candidate and interview objects. D. Create a trigger on the interview object that updates a field on the candidate object. Flashcard 68. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a good practice for a developer to follow when writing a trigger? Choose two answers: A. Using the map data structure to hold query results by ID. B. Using at future methods to perform DML operations. C. Using the set data structure to ensure distinct records. D. Using synchronous callouts to call external systems. Flashcard 69. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which code block returns the list view of an account object using the following debug statement? System debug controller get list view options. A. Apex pages dot standard set controller equals new Apex pages dot standard set controller select ID from account limit 1. B. Apex pages dot standard controller controller equals new apex pages dot standard controller database dot get query locator select ID from account limit 1. C. Apex pages dot standard controller controller equals new apex pages standard controller select ID from account limit 1. D. Apex pages dot standard set controller controller equals new apex pages dot standard set controller database dot get query locator select ID from account limit 1. Flashcard 70. B, C, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which data type or collection of data types can SOQL statements populate or evaluate to? Choose 3 answers: A. A Boolean B. An integer C. A list of S objects D. A single S object E. A string. Flashcard 71. C, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which action can a developer perform in a before update trigger? Choose 2 answers: A. Update the original object using an update DML operation. B. Delete the original object using a delete DML operation. C. Change field values using the trigger.newContext variable. D. Display a custom error message in the application interface. Flashcard 72. BD. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: where can debug log filter settings be set? Choose 2 answers: A. The filters link but a monitored user's name within the web UI. B. The show more link on the debug logs record. C. On the monitored user's name. D. The log filters tab on a class or triggered detail page. Flashcard 73. A, B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the value of X after the code segment executes? String X equals A, integer I equals 10, if I15 I equals 15, X equals B, else if I20 X equals C, else X equals D, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, A. Flashcard 74. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when can a developer use a custom Visualforce page in a Force.com application? Choose 2 answers: A. To create components for dashboards and layouts. B. To deploy components between 2 organizations. C. To generate a PDF document with application data. D. To modify the page layout settings for a custom object. Flashcard 75. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which statement about the lookup relationship between a custom object and the standard object is correct? A. The lookup relationship on the custom object can prevent the deletion of the standard object. B. The lookup relationship cannot be marked as required on the page layout for the custom object. C. The custom object will be deleted when the reference standard object is deleted. D. The custom object inherits security from the reference standard objects. Flashcard 76. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: A reviewer is required to enter a reason in the comments field only when a candidate is recommended to be hired. Which action can a developer take to enforce this requirement? A. Create a required comments field. B. Create a formula field. C. Create a validation rule. D. Create a required Visualforce component. Flashcard 77. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: the sales management team hires a new intern. The intern is not allowed to view opportunities, but needs to see the most recent closed date of all child opportunities when viewing an account record. What would a developer do to meet this requirement? A. Create a workflow rule on the opportunity object that updates a field on the parent account. B. Create a formula field on the account object that performs a MAX on the opportunity close state field. C. Create a roll-up summary field on the account object that performs a MAX on the opportunity close state field. D. Create a trigger on the account object that queries the close state of the most recent opportunities. Flashcard 78. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: on which object can an administrator create a roll-up summary field? A. Any object that is on the master side of a master-detail relationship. B. Any object that is on the parent side of a lookup relationship. C. Any object that is on the detail side of a master-detail relationship. D. Any object that is on the child side of a lookup relationship. Flashcard 79. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a Visualforce page has a standard controller for an object that has a lookup relationship to a parent object. How can a developer display data from the parent record on a page? A. By using SOQL on the Visualforce page to query for data from the parent record. B. By using merge field syntax to retrieve data from the parent record. C. By adding a second standard controller to the page for the parent record. D. By using a roll-up formula field on the child record to include data from the parent record. Flashcard 80. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer needs to create a Visualforce page that will override standard account edit button. The page will be used to validate the account's address using a SOQL query. The page will also allow the user to make edits to the address. Where would the developer write the account address verification logic? A. In a controller extension. B. In a custom controller. C. In a standard controller. D. In a standard extension. Flashcard 81. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer wants to list all of the tasks for each account on the account detail page. When a task is created for a contact, what does the developer need to do to display the task on the related account record? A. Create an account formula field that displays the task information. B. Nothing. The task is automatically displayed on the account page. C. Create a workflow rule to relate the task to the contact's account. D. Nothing. The task cannot be related to an account and a contact. Flashcard 82. BC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a capability of a standard set controller? Choose two answers. A. It extends the functionality of a standard or custom controller. B. It allows pages to perform mass updates of records. C. It allows pages to perform pagination with large record sets. D. It enforces field-level security when reading large record sets. Flashcard 83. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer has the following code: try list name list, account A, string s equals a dot name, name list dot add s, catch list exception la system dot debug list exception, catch null pointer exception np system dot debug null pointer exception, catch exception e system dot debug generic exception. What message would be logged? A. No message is logged. B. Generic exception. C. List exception. D. Null pointer exception. Flashcard 84. A, B, C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which statement about change set deployments is accurate? Choose three answers. A. They can be used only between related organizations. B. They require a deployment connection. C. They use an all or none deployment model. D. They can be used to transfer contact records. E. They can be used to deploy custom settings data. Flashcard 85. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: how would a developer use Schema Builder to delete a custom field from the account object that was required for prototyping but is no longer needed? A. Remove all the references in the code and then the field will be removed from Schema Builder. B. Remove all references from the code and then delete the custom field from Schema Builder. C. Mark the field for deletion in Schema Builder and then delete it from the declarative UI. D. Delete the field from Schema Builder and then all references in the code will be removed. Flashcard 86. B, C, A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is an accurate statement about variable scope? Choose three answers. A. Subblocks cannot reuse a parent block's variable name. B. A variable can be defined at any point in a block. C. Parallel blocks can use the same variable name. D. Subblocks can reuse a parent block's variable name if its value is null. E. A static variable can restrict the scope to the current block if its value is null. Flashcard 87. A, B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when the value of a field in an account record is updated, which method will update the value of custom field and related opportunities? Choose two answers. A. An Apex trigger on the account object. B. A process builder on the account object. C. A cross-object formula field on the account object. D. A workflow rule on the account object. Flashcard 88. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer creates an Apex class that includes private methods. What can the developer do to ensure that the private methods can be accessed by the test class? A. Add the test visible attribute to the Apex class. B. Add the see all data attribute to the test methods. C. Add the see all data attribute to the test class. D. Add the test visible attribute to the Apex methods. Flashcard 89. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which scenario is invalid for execution by unit tests? A. Executing methods for negative test scenario. B. Executing methods as different users. C. Loading test data in place of user input for flows. D. Load the standard pricebook ID using a system method. Flashcard 90. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer runs the following anonymous code block: list ACK equals select ID from account limit 10, delete ACK, database.empty recycle bin ACK, system.debug limits.get DML statements plus 1 plus limits.get limit DML statements. What is the result? A. 11 150B, 150 2C, 150 11D, 2 150. Flashcard 91. E, B, C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: where can custom rollup summary fields be created using standard object relationships? Choose 3 answers. A. On account using case records. B. On account using opportunity records. C. On opportunity using opportunity product records. D. On quote using order records. E. On campaign using campaign member records. Flashcard 92. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer has following query: contact C equals select ID, first name, last name, email from contact where last name equals Smith. What does the query return if there is no contact with the last name Smith? A. A contact with empty values. B. A contact initialized to null. C. An empty list of contacts. D. An error that no rows are found. Flashcard 93. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is an important consideration when in a multi-tenant environment? A. Polyglot persistence provides support for a global, multilingual user base in multiple orgs on multiple instances. B. Governor limits prevent tenants from impacting performance in multiple orgs on the same instance. C. Unique domain names takes the place of namespace for code developed for multiple orgs for multiple instances. D. Org-wide data security determines whether other tenants can see data in multiple orgs on the same inst. Flashcard 94. CD. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: in the Lightning Component Framework, which resource can be used to fire events? Choose 2 answers. A. Visual Force Controller options. B. Third-party web service code. C. Third-party JavaScript code. D. JavaScript controller actions. Flashcard 95. C, D, E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the capability of formula fields? Choose 3 answers. A. Display the previous value for the field using the prior value function. B. Return and display a field value from another object using a VLOOKUP function. C. Determine which of 3 different images to display using IF function. D. Generate the link using the hyperlink function using a specific record in a legacy system. E. Determine if a datatime field has passed using the now function. Flashcard 96. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: in a single record, a user selects multiple values from a multi-select pick list. How are the selected values represented in Apex? A. As a string with each value separated by a comma. B. As a list with each value as an element in the list. C. As a string with each value separated by semicolon. D. As a set with each value as an element in the set. Flashcard 97. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the capability of Force.com ID? Choose two answers. A. Edit metadata components. B. Run Apex tests. C. Run debug logs. D. Rollback deployments. Flashcard 98. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a hierarchy custom setting stores a specific URL for each profile in Salesforce. Which statement can a developer use to retrieve the correct URL for the current user's profile and display this visual force page? A. $setup.url settings c.instanceprofile.id.url blank cb $setup.url settings c.url blank cc $setup.url settings c profile.id url blank cd $setup.url settings c $profile.id url blank c. Flashcard 99. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer writes a SOQL query to find child records for a specific parent. How many specific levels can be returned in a single query? A. 3, B. 5, C. 1, D. 7. Flashcard 100. A. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer needs to know if all tests currently pass in Salesforce environment. Which feature can the developer use? Choose two answers. A. Developer console. B. ANT migration tool. C. Salesforce UI Apex test execution. D. Workbench metadata retrieval. Flashcard 101. B. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which statement should a developer avoid using inside procedural loops? Choose two answers. A. System.debug amount of CPU time in a mess used so far, plus limits.get CPU time. B. Update contact list. C. List contacts equals select ID, salutation, first name, last name, email from contact, where account equals a.id, dfo.accounted equals aid. Flashcard 102. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which statement would a developer use when creating test data for products and price books? A. List object equals test.load data account.s object type my resource. B. Pricebook pb equals new pricebook. C. ID pricebook ID equals test.get standard pricebook ID. D. Is test C all data equals false. Flashcard 103. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: how can a developer determine from the describe_s object result if the current user will be able to create record and object in Apex? A. By using the hasAccess method. B. By using the isCreatable method. C. By using the isInsertable method. D. By using the canCreate method. Flashcard 104. A. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a valid statement about Apex classes and interfaces? Choose two answers. A. Exception classes must end with the word exception. B. A class can have multiple levels of inner classes. C. The default modifier for a class is private. D. The default modifier for an interface is private. Flashcard 105. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: the sales management team requires that the lead source field of the lead record be populated when a lead is converted. What would a developer use to ensure that a user populates the lead source field prior to converting a lead? A. Process Builder. B. Validation Rule. C. Formula Field. D. Workflow Rule. Flashcard 106. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer created an Apex trigger using the developer console and now wants to debug code. How can the developer accomplish this in the developer console? A. Open the Logs tab in the developer console. B. Select the Override Log Triggers checkbox for the trigger. C. Add the username in the log inspector. D. Open the Progress tab in the developer console. Flashcard 107. A. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what are the supported content sources for custom buttons and links? Choose two answers. A. Visual Force Page. B. Static Resource. C. URL. D. Shatter File. E. Lightning Page. Flashcard 108. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what actions types should be configured to display a custom success message? A. Update a record. B. Post a feed item. C. Delete a record. D. Close a case. Flashcard 109. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when creating a record with a quick action, what is the easiest way to post a feed item? A. By selecting Create Case Feed on the quick action. B. By adding a trigger on the new record. C. By adding a workflow rule on the new record. D. By selecting Create Case Feed on the new record. Flashcard 110. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the easiest way to verify a user before showing them sensitive content? A. Sending the user a SMS message with a passcode. B. Calling the Generate Verification URL method in Apex. C. Sending the user an email message with a passcode. D. Calling the session.forceLogin URL method in Apex. Flashcard 111. CE. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what features are available when writing Apex test classes? Choose two answers. A. The ability to select error types to ignore in the developer console. B. The ability to write assertions to test after a future method. C. The ability to set and modify the created date field in Apex tests. D. The ability to set breakpoints to freeze the execution at a given point. E. The ability to select testing data using CSV files stored in the system. Flashcard 112. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is public class my controller public string my string. Public string get my string return get my string. Public string get string method 1 return my string. Public string get string method 2 if my string equals null my string equals method 2. Return my string. Exclamation my string. Exclamation string method 1. Exclamation string method 2. Exclamation my string. What does the user see when accessing the custom page? A get my string. B. Method 2. C. Method 2. Get my string. D. Get my string method 2. Get my string. Flashcard 113. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer needs to ensure there is sufficient test coverage for an Apex method that interacts with accounts. The developer needs to create test data. What is the preferred way to load this test data into Salesforce? A. By using documents. B. By using HTTP callout mocks. C. By using web service tests. D. By using static resources. Flashcard 114. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the benefit of the Lightning Component Framework? A. Better integration with Force.com sites. B. More pre-built components to replicate the Salesforce look and feel. C. More centralized control via server-side logic. D. Better performance for custom Salesforce One mobile apps. Flashcard 115. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: how would a developer determine if a custom object blank C record has been manually shared with the current user in Apex? A. By querying the role hierarchy. B. By calling the isShared method for the record. C. By querying custom object blank share. D. By calling the profile settings of the current user. Flashcard 116. VC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which trigger event allows a developer to update fields in the trigger.new list without using an additional DML statement? Choose 2A. After update. B. Before insert. C. Before update. D. After insert. Flashcard 117. AD. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a valid way of loading external JavaScript files into a Visualforce page? Choose 2A. Using an Apex : include script *tag. \B. Using an Apex : define *tag. C. Using a link *tag. D. Using a script *tag. Asterisk for this question replace with less / greater than symbols. Flashcard 118. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: where would a developer build a managed package? A. Developer Sandbox. B. Unlimited Edition. C. Partial Copy Sandbox. D. Developer Edition. Flashcard 119. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the correct way to describe how Model View Controller (MVC) architecture is implemented on the Salesforce platform? A. Model, standard and custom objects. View, visual first pages. Controller, S-controls. B. Model, schema builder. View, list views. Controller, setup console. C. Model, standard and custom objects. View, visual first pages. Controller, Apex code. D. Model, Apex code. View, list views. Controller, setup console. Flashcard 120. A. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is valid in the where clause of a SOQL query? Choose two answers. A. A geolocation field. B. An encrypted field. C. An aggregate function. D. An alias notation. Flashcard 121. B, C, E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer creates a method in an Apex class and needs to ensure that errors are handled properly. What would the developer use? Choose three answers. A. Apex pages.add error message. B. A custom exception. C. .add error. D. Database.handle exception. E. A try/catch construct. Flashcard 122. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: in the Lightning Component Framework, where is client-side controller logic contained? Choose one answer. A. Apex. B. Visual Force. C. HTML. D. JavaScript. Flashcard 123. A, D, E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which use case requires a partial copy or full sandbox? Choose three answers. A. Scalability testing. B. Development testing. C. Quality assurance testing. D. Batch data testing. E. Integration testing. Flashcard 124. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: Universal Containers wants to roll out new product bundles with several pricing options. Pricing options include product price bundles, account-specific pricing, and more. Which product satisfies the needs? A. Workflow on opportunity/opportunity product. B. Custom app exchange app for product pricing. C. Formula fields on opportunity/opportunity product. D. Lightning Process Builder. Flashcard 125. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: Universal Containers has included its orders as an external data object into Salesforce. You want to create a relationship between accounts and the orders object one-to-many relationship leveraging a key field for account which is on both external object and account. Which relationship do you create? A. Master detail relationship. B. Indirect lookup relationship. C. Lookup relationship. D. Hierarchical relationship. E. External lookup relationship. Flashcard 126. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Containers has a custom object that has an N:(M) relationship with opportunity line item carrying price and amount information. In order to compute total amounts and total prices per opportunity using roll-up summary fields, what field type will you use? A. ProSubject. B. Lookup. C. Master detail. D. Junction. Flashcard 127. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Containers has a custom object that has an N:(M) relationship with opportunity line item carrying price and amount information. In order to compute total amounts and total prices per opportunity using roll-up summary fields, what relationship type will you use? A. ProSubject. B. Lookup. C. Master detail. D. Junction. Flashcard 128. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Containers want an org for development which can be refreshed in every 5 days with all the configuration and some data. What org do you choose? A. Developer Sandbox. B. Developer Pro Sandbox. C. Partial Copy Sandbox. D. Full Sandbox. Flashcard 129. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is which Apex collection is used to ensure all values are unique? A. And subject. B. Set. C. List. D. Enum. Flashcard 130. C. E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Container installs an unmanaged package. Which of the following are true? Choose 2. A. Tests are executed during deployment. B. Unmanaged packages can be upgraded. C. Unmanaged packages don't have a version number. D. Unmanaged packages have a namespace prefix. E. Components of unmanaged packages can be edited. Flashcard 131. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Container want to store an area code and wants to be able to search for it in searches. Which are possible fields to store the data? Choose 2A. Phone. B. Email. C. Text. D. Multi-pick list. Flashcard 132. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Containers has a custom object service which has a lookup relationship to account. Universal Containers wants to enhance Salesforce One with an action that allows account managers to enter a new service to an account while looking at the account. A. Enter an object-specific action to service and put it in the account layout. B. Enter an object-specific action to service and put it in the service layout. C. Enter an object-specific action to account and put it in the account layout. D. Enter an object-specific action to account and put it in the service layout. Flashcard 133. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what determines whether a user can create a new record using a specific record type? A. Profile B. Page layout C. Field level security D. Sharing. Flashcard 134. B, C, E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which statements are true regarding roll-up summary fields? Select all that apply. A. Advanced currency management has no effect on roll-up summary fields. B. Because roll-up summary fields are not displayed on edit pages, you can use them in validation rules but not as the error location for validation. C. Validation errors can display when saving either the detail or master record. D. Automatically derived fields such as current date or current user are allowed in a roll-up summary field. E. Once created, you cannot change the detail object selected or delete any field referenced in your roll-up summary definition. Flashcard 135. B, C, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what happens when a workflow is reevaluated? Pick 3A. Validation B. Cross-object sharing rules C. Other workflow types D. Previous workflows. Flashcard 136. A, B, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which components can be added to a Lightning app on custom object? Choose 3A. Standard Lightning Component B. Custom Lightning Component C. Object-specific actions on a custom object E. Global actions E. Visual Force. Flashcard 137. Hey, think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer executes following code in console. What will happen? List equals new list for integer I equals 1I less or equal 200I plus list dot add new account name equals test ac plus I. Insert list equals new list for integer I equals 201I less or equal 20,000 I plus list dot add new account name equals test ac plus I. Insert list A. Error will occur. B. Insert all records C. Insert 200 only D. Records inserted. Flashcard 138. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: developer need to verify that the account trigger is working fine without changing org data. What should the developer do to test the account trigger? A. Use New button on Account tab to create new record. B. Use the Test menu on Developer Console to run all test classes for the account trigger. C. Use force.calm IDD. Use Execute Anonymous feature on Developer Console. Flashcard 139. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which is true about social accounts? A. You can use social accounts data even when you are not logged into the social account. B. You need a personal social account in order to see social account data. C. You can use social accounts to import data into Salesforce. D. Connection to social account is established through a company-wide named principal. Flashcard 140. A. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: field type conversion. Which of the following are true? Choose 2A. Data can be lost when converting from auto number to text. B. Information can be lost when converting from text area rich to text area long. C. Data can be lost when converting from number to currency assuming that field lengths are identical. D. Data can be lost when converting from simple pick list to multi-pick list. Flashcard 141. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Container is using assignment rules to distribute cases to regional teams. Which of the following are true? A. It is possible to have multiple active assignment rules. B. Cases may be assigned to public groups if configured. C. Cases may be assigned to queues if configured. D. A workflow field update can be used instead. Flashcard 142. B. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is you want to use an external data object table from Heroku carrying product category information. The data need to be included in Salesforce and searchable. What do you have to do before you can use the connection? Choose 2A. Choose Include as index field. B. Press Validate and sync. C. Choose Include in Salesforce search as option. D. URL/ choose the URL. Flashcard 143. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is objects of this Apex class allow developers to create list controllers similar to, or as extensions of, the pre-built Visualforce list controllers provided by Salesforce. A. Standard set controller class. B. Standard controller class. C. Controller class. D. Visualforce set controller class. E. Visualforce controller class. F. None of the above. Flashcard 144. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is which portion of the model view controller paradigm is represented in force.column as a standard or custom object? A. Model. B. Controller. C. View. Flashcard 145. CD. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is what must a developer consider when inserting records using an API-based tool? Choose 2A. Required fields on page layouts are enforced. B. Universally required field settings are respected. C. Apex triggers are ignored. D. Validation rules are respected. Flashcard 146. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Containers has built a recruiting application with 2 custom objects, job applications and reviews that have a master detail relationship. Users should not be allowed to delete review records after job application records have been approved. How would a developer meet this requirement? A. Change the interviewer's profile to read only for the review object. B. Use workload to change the page layout to read only. C. Remove the delete button from the job application page layout. D. Use a validation rule in conjunction with a roll-up summary field. Flashcard 147. CD. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is Universal Container want to store an area code and wants to be able to search for it in applications Apex. Which are possible fields to store the data? Choose 2A. email B, multi-pick list C, text D, number E, phone. Flashcard 148. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what can a Lightning component contain in its resource bundle? Choose two answers. A. Custom client-side rendering behavior. B. Properties files with global settings. C. CSS style scope to the component. D. Build scripts for minification. Flashcard 149. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: describe the ramifications of field updates and potential for recursion for the following scenario. If a field update for Rule 1 triggers Rule 2, and a field update for Rule 2 triggers Rule 1. A. The updates create a loop and the org limits for workload time triggers per hour will likely be violated. B. When the second trigger is saved, an imminent loop error message will be displayed and the workload rule update will not save. C. The updates create a loop and the org will be blocked until the admin resolves the issue. D. Loop is allowed to run 25 times within 1 hour. If it does not end on its own, the process will be stopped by R and D. Flashcard 150. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: how would a developer change the field type of a custom field on account object from a string to an integer? A. Make the change in the declarative UI, then update the field type to an integer field in the Apex code. B. Remove all references in the code. Make the change in the declarative UI and restore the references with the new type. C. Make the change in the developer console, and then the change will automatically be reflected in the Apex. D. Make the change in the declarative UI, and then the change will automatically be reflected in the Apex code. Flashcard 151. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which developer tool can be used to create a data model? Choose 2A. Force.com IDB. Schema Builder C. Application Data Model Wizard D. Force.com Data Loader. Flashcard 152. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is the name of the standard relationship from account down to contact? A. Accounts B. Contact C. Account D. Contact. Flashcard 153. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which API cannot be used to create the data model? A. Force.com Single Sign-On API B. Force.com Metadata API C. Ajax Ticket for Force.com D. Force.com API. Flashcard 154. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a junction object? A. A custom object with two master detail relationships. B. A custom object with one lookup relationship and one master detail relationship. C. A custom object with two lookup relationships. D. A custom object with any number of lookup and master detail relationships. Flashcard 155. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which statement about declarations is correct? A. A developer can extend a class that is declared with virtual keyword. B. A developer can use define constant with final keyword. C. A developer can't use class or method using final keyword. Flashcard 156. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which permission is required to install and uninstall packages from Salesforce App Exchange? A. Manage package licenses. B. Upload App Exchange packages. C. Download App Exchange packages. D. Create App Exchange packages. Flashcard 157. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: in order to create an app launcher component in Lightning, what must an admin do? A. Navigate to set up Customize User Interface to enable the component for the Lightning App Builder. B. Contact Salesforce to have the component activated for the Lightning App Builder. C. Purchase a license for the Lightning App Builder. D. Join the pilot Lightning App Builder team. Flashcard 158. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer created trigger with following code: list LSD accounts equals new list for order blank C obj order trigger dot new account equals select ID from account where ID equals obj order dot account blank C LSD accounts dot add update LSD accounts. How many order will be load when developer attempts to load 150 records? A. 0. B. 1C. 100D. 150. Flashcard 159. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which social networks are available in the Lightning Experience and Salesforce One? A. Club. B. Facebook. C. LinkedIn. D. Twitter. Flashcard 160. A, B, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when a user creates a record by using an object-specific create action, what feed item for that record appears? Choose 3A. In the chatter feed of the user who created the record. B. In the feed for the record on which the new record was created. C. In the user profile feed for all users who can view the record. D. As the first entry in the feed for the new record. E. In the chatter feed of the first user who follows the record on which the record was created. Flashcard 161. A, C, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: you can create global actions to let users create which of the following records? Choose 3A. Question. B. Chatter posts. C. Event without invitees. D. Opportunity. E. Users. Flashcard 162. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a salesperson at AW Computing only sees the social contacts link for Twitter and not Facebook on his records. Why would this be happening? A. Facebook is no longer supported by social contacts. B. The administrator hasn't enabled social contacts for Facebook. C. The salesperson's login with Facebook has expired. D. None of his Facebook contacts have confirmed the nature of the relationship. Flashcard 163. A. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: a developer has completed work in the sandbox and is ready to send it to a related org. What deployment tool should be used? A. Change sets. B. Force.calm IDC. Unmanaged packages. D. Force.calm migration tool. Flashcard 164. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when running an Apex test, which type of Apex syntax in tested code is counted in the code coverage calculation? A. A blank line. B. A system.debug statement. C. A variable assignment. D. A comment. Flashcard 165. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a capability of the developer console? A. Execute anonymous Apex code, run REST API, create/edit code. B. Execute anonymous Apex code, create/edit code, view debug logs. C. Execute anonymous Apex code, create/edit code, deploy code changes. D. Execute anonymous Apex code, run REST API, deploy code changes. Flashcard 166. B. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which method is defined in the standard controller class? Choose two answers. A. Merge. B. Save. C. Undelete. D. Cancel. Flashcard 167. A. B. E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what tools you need to use to migrate metadata to two different production orgs. Choose 3A. Force.calm ID. B. Force.calm migration tool. C. Change set. D. Data loader. E. Unmanaged package. Flashcard 168. CD. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what should a developer working in a sandbox use to exercise a new test class before the developer deploys that test class to production? Choose two answers. A. The REST API and Apex test run method. B. The run test page in Salesforce setup. C. The Apex test execution page in Salesforce setup. D. The test menu in the developer console. Flashcard 169. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which statement about record types is true? Select 2A. The ability to create records of a specific record type is determined by the profile. B. Users cannot view records assigned to a record type their profile does not have access to. C. Record types can be used to define picklist values available for a given field. D. Record types can only be assigned to one profile at a time. Flashcard 170. A. B. D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what standard chatter actions, post, file, link, poll, and thanks appear on the user profile page regardless of the actions in the user page layout? Choose 3A. Post. B. Poll. C. Create. D. File. E. Email. Flashcard 171. E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which of the following fields are not available for record types? A. Opportunity stages B. Case status C. Solution status D. Lead status E. All of the above. Flashcard 172. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: to enable the Publisher Actions area on page layouts, navigate to A. Set up Customize Feed Settings B. Set up Customize Chatter Settings C. Set up Customize Actions Settings D. Set up Customize Settings. Flashcard 173. A. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: when should a system administrator consider using the Salesforce App Exchange? Choose 2A. When looking for pre-built custom applications and tools B. When standard Salesforce functionality needs to be extended C. To find answers to Salesforce application questions D. To submit ideas for Salesforce application enhancements. Flashcard 174. C. D. E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: identify the standard Lightning components. Choose 3A. List View B. Dashboard C. Rich Text E. Visual Force Page E. Reports. Flashcard 175. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: actions on a Lightning page allow you to do which of the following? A. Send email and delete or clone records. B. Send email, create a task, and create or update records. C. Clone records, add users, and assign permissions. D. Send email, send outbound messages, and launch a flow. Flashcard 176. AC. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: you have created a workflow rule to send an email in your configuration sandbox. For some reason it's not working. What should you double-check? Choose 2A. You have the correct email address B. Look at the system audit trail C. Check the deliverability settings D. HTML does not work in Sandbox. Make sure your email has no HTML. Flashcard 177. C. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is a Lightning page? A. A page you can access via a customer community. B. The new name for a Salesforce page layout. C. A custom layout for creating pages in Salesforce 1. D. A compact, configurable, and reusable element. Flashcard 178. A. B. E. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: what is true when a field update is set to reevaluate the workflow rule? Choose 3A. Only workflow rules on the same object as the initial field update will be reevaluated and triggered. B. Only workflow rules that didn't fire before will be retriggered. C. Cascade of workflow rule reevaluation and triggering can happen up to 10 times after the initial field update that started it. D. Any workflow rules whose criteria are met as a result of the field update will be ignored. E. In a batch update, workflow is only retriggered on the entities where there is a change. Flashcard 179. A, C, D. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: identify the field update limitations. Choose 3A. Read-only fields like formula or autonumber fields aren't available for field updates. B. The results of a field update can't trigger additional rules such as validation, assignment, auto-response, or escalation rules. C. In a batch update, workflow is retriggered on all entities where there is a change. D. Field updates that are executed as approval actions don't trigger workflow rules. Flashcard 180. B. Think of the answer before the reveal. The answer is: which deployment tools will you use to deploy metadata from one organization to another organization? A. Change sets. B. Force.com IDC. Unmanaged packages.